Good evening, everybody. Hello. How are you?
Very well.
The Australian would say, how done?
How you going?
Huh?
How are you?
How are you? Okay. How are you? So from the laughter I can predict everybody is good. Okay. Yeah. So thank you very much for Langri Tangpa Centre, Jen, Miffy, and the rest of the committee and volunteers having me here. Is my another privilege, happiness. Just now I heard Miffy said, my English very good. Now you will know exactly the truth. So maybe lie a little bit about and thank you very much for everybody, each one of you, dedicating your very precious Friday evening here with me. If I'm not here, maybe you may be having great parties, who knows? Great dinner, great movie, whatever. But then, so tonight is almost like my movie day. So thank you very much, everyone, for your effort, and all of us. The reason of getting together here, hoping that we can boost up, our positive immune system, to get get motivated positively for coming days, to be most beneficial of our life. So with that intention, even you just come to check it out about me, it's still very beneficial. With that motivation, to boost up the positive aspirations, for coming days, to be most use of one's life, to be most beneficial for self and for one's family and for the rest of the communities and rest of the people, rest of the sentient being, So even someone just who came to just check about me, still no doubt that there is some positive intention to come here, and that itself makes, I think, our time very meaningful. So therefore, I find very meaningful to be here, and I'm so happy that I can be with all of you. And tonight's topic is wise mind in a modern.
Wise heart.
A wise heart. Heart. Wise heart in a modern world. Yes. So in Tibetan, I think I don't know. This could be correct translation called Semba Sangbo. Wise heart. I think it's meaning Semba Sangbo. So there's a saying Semba Sang Sada Lamya Sang, Semba Ngen Sada Lamya Ngen, Tamje Semba Da Raleso. So if your heart is wise, then your path and experiences on the journey will be positive and happiness. If your heart is not wise, not wise, then paths and on the journey on the path will be unpleasant, and so therefore everything dependent on your heart. So I think this heart, I think, referring to your mental attitude, your motivation, your thinking. If your thinking is positive, if your motivation is positive, then any parts that you take in life, any form of activities that you engage, it will be, one will experience the result as a positive, a result of happiness. If one's intention, if one's mind is negative, then so one's activities in day-to-day life and whatever experience that one experiences, it won't be pleasant, it won't be auspicious, or it won't be virtuous, And so therefore, if one wish to experience happiness in our day-to-day life, in the journey of our life, then it is very much dependent on being wise, and very much dependent on having a good heart, having positive, virtuous heart, having positive intention, virtuous intention. We can also call it as a dharma intention, So then, so therefore, so the virtuous intention, virtuous heart is very much about having, beneficial heart, beneficial intention, and the object of benefit, it includes self and others. Self is yourself, others can be, starting from your own, the closest loved one, and that expand, all the way to entire living creature, living sentient beings. So as long as one initiate any form of activities, excuse me, any form of action from one's body, speech, and mind with right intention, with virtuous intention, which is motivated to bring a well-being of sentient being that is starting from self, then one will experience, at least one person, one sentient being, that is yourself, will experience genuine peace, genuine happiness, because the genuine peace and genuine happiness, it only can be the production of virtues. How much we think that, how smartly we perform negative, and by thinking that smart way of doing, performing negative act of one's body, spirit, and mind may possibility bring happiness in our heart, inner peace in our heart. That is not possible. That is absolutely not possible. If one feel like experiencing, some sort of inner peace or some sort of happiness through cheating others, through doing some wrong livelihood, through gaining profit, through lying, through stealing, through condemning others, and that sense of joy or happiness, when you look carefully, when you examine carefully, that in fact is not happiness. That in fact is a suffering. That in fact very much in the nature of guilt, in the nature of regret, in the nature of finding faults. There's no virtuous characteristic in that. That feeling, that experiences, that which we think it is a result of, able to win on someone by lying or by cheating, etc. So, based on Buddha's teaching and based on universal causality, the law of causality, only virtues can able to produce the real happiness. Only as long as it's non-virtuous, as long as it is delusional, then the result will be only suffering. And the suffering can be not necessarily have to experience immediately, but it can be experienced without any choice, as long as one engage in any form of physical, verbal, mental action with the intention of non-virtuous mind. So you see. So therefore, so if you truly wish to experience inner joy, inner happiness, and the genuine happiness, then there's the only one way. The way is to accumulate the causes, and that accumulation of causes has to be done by the virtuous intention. The action that which is accumulated through the force of virtuous intention. So sometime in our life, some certain people may feel that even how much virtuous action you do, but then there's no kind of immediate result of immediate happiness result, and sometimes we tend to doubt ourselves. Like there's a common question: why bad things happen to good people? Isn't it? And sometimes I think all of us ourselves, isn't it? We think we are very good. So why this thing happened to me? Why? So yes, we are quite good, not bad. But then sometimes our goodness is maybe not so pure, and that is very much the purity of virtuous action is, as mentioned earlier, is very much determined by motivation, very much determined by your initial mental attitude. We did perform many good things, but then most of the good things are never really performed with the right intention. And there are great possibilities, great varieties of altruistic intention, can be as a motivational attitude to engage into any virtues. But then most of the time we forget to do that. We become so spontaneous, without even kind of having a proper, the mental virtuous mindset, and we just simply engage into actions. So even though the physical action of good doing, verbal speech of right speech, but then if that is not initiated by your mental virtuous intention, then the karma is not solid. You see. So when we talk about the karma, there are the four factors have to complete in order that karma or that action to be very powerful, causes to produce the result. You see. So therefore, due to lacking of mindfulness in setting up right motivation or great altruistic motivation, we waste so many opportunities in our life, in our day-to-day life, accumulate vast merit, and it is so important and so necessary to accumulate vast merit because the merit is the cause for happiness. And especially being in samsara, we are in the nature of experiencing the the pervasive suffering, and we need a great amount of merit to deal with the journey in samsara without committing more negativities, and so that when we transit from this life to next life, there will be a great opportunity for us to be liberated. Don't have to take rebirth again to continue to experience ups and downs in this samsaric world. So therefore, discovering spirituality or discovering the karmic law, cause and effect, and discovering the nature of samsara, discovering the characteristic of freedom and nirvana, it is for us to for us to make full use of this, we call this precious human rebirth, where all of us have complete the faculties, and at the same time we also have a sense of genuine interest in learning what to be adopted and what to be abandoned. So while having this opportunity, and if we miss the chance to accumulate as vast merit as possible, as a vast cause as possible for lasting happiness, then there will be great loss. And in future lifetime, I think we can clearly see it will be very, very rare such opportunity may obtained. So you see, so in order for us to have a genuine conviction, to have an absolute fruitful and meaningful and absolute virtuous life, then it is very necessary for us to adopt the three major practices in our life. The actualizing as much as wisdom as possible, because why we are unable to maximize taking the benefit of this precious human rebirth is due to lack of wisdom. And the wisdom is not talking about being very smart in mathematics, being very smart in architecture, law, etc. Here, I think very much talking about the wisdom, realizing right view. It is so important to have a right view. Right view is more like a framework. It's more like the skeleton for the body. To have a structured, the structured kind of direction to the life. When we don't have a wisdom of right view, then even when we accumulate virtues, we may not able to accumulate with conviction. We may accumulate by chance on the way, but not by won't be able to accumulate the full amount of the virtues, which can be so powerful cause to bring into result and even liberation in this lifetime. So therefore, so very important to develop our wisdom, and that's one of the most fundamental knowledge and practice, and that which we need in order to have a very perfect, meaningful life. And the second is actualizing as much as possible in the moral conduct. So basically, living a life in your best ability in moral conduct. So practicing morality in our life. You see. Then the third thing is, it is so important for us to, have a consistent practice of meditation. You see. So developing wisdom and cultivating moral conduct, and training our mind through meditation. So these three the points. It is so important to make perfection in virtues. If we have these three things in our mindfulness, then for one morning, our one morning become absolute, great virtues. If we have this mindfulness in these 3 points, whole throughout the day, whole throughout the day will be, perfect, huge virtue. If we're able to do that for the rest of our life, then the rest of our life is going to be very fruitful and great accumulation of vast merit and causes. Can result into even the highest the potential of our mind, which is the state of enlightenment. And not only that, in immediate level, base our day-to-day life on the this three things taking as a kind of like a framework, a basis to guide our day-to-day life. Then we will experience consistent level of inner peace, the consistent level of gaining protection to our mind from the intrusion of negative emotions, from the intrusion of ups and downs in our life. We won't be has to experience the day-to-day life sufferings. Even though that we may experience the karmic result of being in samsara, the ups and downs, emotional ups and downs, and conventional problems may arise in one's life, but one will always have a wisdom to transform that into the causes of happiness, not to add into the causes of suffering. So whenever there is a delusion arises, we will have the right antidotes to overcome those delusions. Because the delusions are the cause of our suffering, our problem. And even the definite karmic result, the samsaric sufferings, such as aging, such as like sicknesses, such as like business failure, business problem, relationship problem, any form of emotional problem. Whenever it intrudes into our life, then we will have a right mental antidote to transform that. And if we have a great wisdom, we can even able to transform that into a path to develop our heart, to sweeten our journey to liberation, to sweeten our journey to perfection. You see, so not only haunted by, not only protecting from haunting by those negative experiences in our life, but rather those negative experiences are greatly appreciated because one has the wisdom to transform that into a path. You see, so therefore, if one individual, any individual have these three bases of these three wisdom in our mind, then one can able to always live happily, whatever phase of life that one had to go through. They always can able to sustain the tranquility in our mind, and that can be experienced very easily. Whenever you adopt this three things in our day-to-day life, it's not something that we need to wait for so long, to be able to do so. As long as we have the right view, such as a view of interconnectivity, view of interconnectivity, interrelativity. Is it interdependence? in the view of interdependence, your happiness is dependent on others, and at the same way, you can be a cause and condition of others' happiness, and in particularly as a human, we are being as a social animal. Did I say right? Yes. Okay. Being as a social animal, our happiness is very much dependent on others. How much we want to isolate ourselves, for the purpose of happiness, we won't able to experience happiness, when we isolate, interrelating with the rest of the others. You see. So therefore, but at the same time, if we don't have a wisdom, if we don't have a wisdom of, my happiness is interdependency on others, then the rest of the others regard it with the wrong view, because of not having the right view of a right view of interdependency, then we may have a wrong view of the others are the cause and condition of my suffering. So if that happens, then you see, even in one small family, then your partner, your children are, cause and condition of my problem. And that is not true, and that is the interpretation of ignorant. But then if we interpret the interconnectivityness with one's family with the right view of interdependency, my happiness is very much dependent on them. Just having that idea, the existence of your family, the rest of the other families are all in quality, all in the object of your object of attraction, from your heart, So as long once we have that view, then when you see your partner, you only see qualities. You only see your partner as object of your happiness. You see. So if you have that view, then you will naturally, be mindful of providing happiness back. You see. But then, even how much your partner providing happiness to you, but having a wrong view that your partner is object of your trouble, object of your problem, and you want to run away. Like if you want to run away, then it is naturally that ignorant mind. There's no space to see any qualities. Then that's how that the suffering arises, the problem arises. The first person who experiences the pain is yourself. You see. So similar to the children, how naughty the children may be, but then because of you are not far away from them, that's why you cannot feel the how important they are existent to you. But because of you are always with them, and at the same time not having the right view, then you start to feel that the children are like a burden to you. Children are not a kind of object that which actually can bring so much happiness to you. And similar to our parents, when we finish our studies, then we tend to, after we find girlfriend, boyfriend, then we just push away our old parents and we go our own way. I don't know, maybe it's not nice to say, but it's very selfish. It's very selfish attitude. There's not even one single consideration of who you are today. Is very much byproduct of your parents' support, your parents' benefit to you. Like especially like a mother, from 9 months in the womb, if she didn't protect you, you don't even have a chance to have a girlfriend. You don't even have a chance to have a boyfriend. And you don't even have a chance to have a pizza. You see? So it's even to have a chance to have a pizza is very much, by the benefit that you receive from your parents. And we never think about that, And we always think about so-called as a freedom, but actually the urge for that freedom, which is kind of, getting away from someone that who provided, so much benefit in your life. It's very much with the mind of ignorant. It's not nice to say, especially to the young one. But that's true. You see, that is very true. You see, so, but if you have a wisdom of, interdependency, then you start to kind of awaken in your heart that, whatever I am today is very much byproduct of my parents' help. And if I want to be so happy, then I have to put my effort to be with them as long as possible. I need to wish them to be live as long as possible, and may I be as close as possible in the service of, the old parents, you know, yeah, like that. You see, so when we have this mind, wisdom of interdependency, you know, then just having that wisdom, then it will help to gain immense of other wisdom in our heart, and all those the wisdom that gain from the wisdom of interdependency is all our virtues. It's all our virtues, and many virtuous actions will able to conduct, you know, just having that wisdom of interdependency. You see, so you see, and you know, if we really want to examine, you know, the happiness that one can obtain, you know, offering unconditional care and service and love to your old parent, then the happiness that you achieve, you know, just running very far away when they need you the most. And when you examine the happiness, the satisfaction in your heart, is no doubt that you have 100%, you know, kind of satisfaction, and it's a lasting one, long-term lasting satisfaction of dedicating your time and your service to your aging parent, and the freedom, whatever fun that you experience, you know, getting away from your parent, you know, very much come to the end. You know, a lot of experience will be mixture of regret, you know, mixture of guilt, you know. So if we think carefully, then it's like that, you know. So you see, so therefore, it is so important, especially I think in the West, it is so important that, especially the young one, and especially those whose parents are still alive, you know, whatever differences may be there, whatever misunderstanding you may have, you know, and whatever kind of ambition that you may have in your life, you know. But one thing is that, you know, we must put full effort to be in the service of one's parents. You know, try one's best to find time to be with them. Try one's best to please them and offer service to them, and yeah, in your very best. You know, in your very best, even how busy one may be, how far one may be, you know, always try to find a time, you know, because there's the benefit that one receives, the love and kindness that one receives from a parent is incompatible, you know, to anyone else, you see. And from the Mayan Buddhist point of view, if we are unable to do that, then there's no possibility for us to develop our heart into altruism. It's not possible, you know. You see, in the Mayan Buddhist teaching, you know, one of the key cause to develop bodhicitta, develop altruism, is recognizing all sentient beings, you know, as your mother, you know, as your dear one, as your loved one. You see, so if one able to, you know, if oneself unable to you know, have an understanding of how preciousness of your, you know, one's present, you know, parent, then it is definitely very far of altruism to be actualized within our mental continuum. You see, so, and if there's any kind of view that we may have that, you know, my mother treated me bad, my parent treated me bad, but they abused me, you know, or they didn't give enough love. And all those are projection of your own view. You know, in reality, it's like that. Because, you know, there are many people who think that mother is not good enough. You know, I've been going around and always talking about mother, and I got a lot of punchback. They say, you know, actually, Geshe Zopa, actually my mother is, you know, you don't know. like that. So, but at least 9 months, in her womb, that you cannot you cannot deny that she is totally kind of sacrificed for you. The rest of the history is maybe very much also due to your behavior. And if we want to talk from the karmic point of view, then this is your karma also. You see, or collective karma. There's not something that is totally can blame your mother, isn't it? You see. So if we use the wisdom, then yes, mother is the greatest, is most beautiful, most attractive, most beneficial in your life. Kindness, most precious in your life. There's no doubt if we use wisdom. If we have any wrong thinking, then we just, if you are a practitioner, then just regard that this is your own misperception, and this is interpretation of your ignorance. This is not the interpretation of your wisdom. So that's why it's how, even in that discontent, how important to have a right wisdom. Just the wisdom of interdependence with your parent, you see. So if that can expand to rest of your family members, then the immediate result will be harmony. If then you can expand with rest of your relatives, all the relatives will be so harmony. When there's harmony, there's a peace, and there's a peace, there's a genuine happiness, isn't it? And if that can expand to society, then definitely there's harmony and happiness and power. If that can able to expand all the way to the entire humanity, and how wonderful. And if that can expand to the rest of the sentient being, and how wonderful. And not only that, the interdependency of sentient being and living things out there. So that then we call as the global warming, all this problem will not come. You see, everybody, including the world leaders, they talk about global warming, talk about world peace, but then every one of them, only thinking about themselves. There's no sense of interdependency kind of idea. The view is about only me, only I. So from universal point of view, also is a mistake, and from the spiritual point of view, also, in just thinking about I, the self-centered attitude is wrong. It's a mistake. It's always a mistake. Ever been mistake, and always will be mistake. You see. So to save us from this mistake, it is important for us to have this right view of interdependency, and and not only that, to have a view of the impermanent, the view of impermanent. Having the wisdom of understanding things and events are in the nature of impermanent. And it is very helpful, it is very easy to practice. I can practice means definitely you can surely practice. You see. So whenever a problem arises, I have abundance of problem. Abundance of problem. A problem of getting old. There are many problems. Every day you want to look from the problem side, everything is problem. So you see. So you see. So the wisdom, the view of things that even are in the nature of impermanent, it really become like a direct antidote to overcome day-to-day challenges, day-to-day obstacles. You see. So whenever there is physical sicknesses occur, then in order for us not to drown into further suffering, if there's a physical suffering, then if we think negatively about it, if we don't have the right view, then emotionally we will suffer. And because of that, the immune system will be down. Because of that, the sickness gets worse. You see, so like that. So the moment such kind of like a physical difficulty, like sicknesses arises, then simply regard that this sickness also lies in the nature of impermanent. Why I need to grasp so much as if it's going to last forever. So main problem of intensifying the suffering in our mind is because of mind of impermanent grasping. So we have a very strong impermanent grasping. If you have some financial problem, as if like you will never get rid out of it, as if like you are forever going to be like that. So there's a kind of fixed mind, fixation on problem, like even financial difficulties. Then because of that, then stress, and depress. Because of that, then not only lost job, but even you want to look for a job, you cannot find job because you look very depressed. When you go for interview, they won't give you a job. You want a clear mind to even answer when they interview you. You see? So it's so easy. So whenever problem arises, just simply regard that this problem lies in the nature of impermanence. So therefore, okay, I just do right things and do some other things. Don't focus on this problem. So in that way, that itself is a healing of that problem. That itself is purification of that problem. And that itself is the protection. To your body, spirit, and mind to experience further sufferings. You see. So the impermanent, is one of very important, very essential teachings of the Buddha. When Buddha first turned the wheel of Dharma, the teaching is very much based on impermanent. And when he passed away he showed the deeds of passing away to Nirvana. The last teaching was a teaching on impermanent. You see. So and when his disciples, experiencing that his teacher Buddha was passing away, and they start to experience great emotional suffering, and immediately Buddha, expressed, the nature of this the physical aggregates is in the nature of impermanent. And just because of revealing, not only showing, but even revealing, this word of impermanent to his disciple, the disciples are, liberated from sorrow. You see, so like that. So similar, all those deeds of the Buddhas are teaching for us to apply, and not the teachings for us to remember like history. Have to apply in our day-to-day life. We as a samsaric being, all of us have our loved one. All of us have someone who is dependent to you. And if they encounter problems, if they even passing away from this life, instead of doing most beneficial for them, rather we put ourselves into a depression, a sadness, suffering. Then from the spiritual point of view, instead of benefiting, there will be a lot of harm for the spirit who is departing from this life to next life. You see, so there are teachings, there are advanced teachings that how important for us to have a positive, uplifted mind when we experience someone is dying, someone is dead, or someone is dying. You see, instead of feeling sad, if you feel sad, a sadness, the spirit who pass away will be affected negatively. You see, so rather than being sad, use your energy into performing virtues in the dedication of the deceased one. You see, so like that. So in a very practical, if someone one of our loved ones suddenly gone into hospital, and you go there, you also cry and you also be very sad, then of course there's no benefit. Rather it will affect negatively even to the person. Rather think of impermanent and be very positive. That way you can able to share the positive energy to that sick person, and even that positive energy may even become a conditional cause of the person to recover. And more than that, we can offer good thoughts, such as prayers, etc. So you see, I find extremely beneficial the mind of impermanent. Right very now, if those who don't meditate on this, then you may find it's like, what's the big deal with that? It's so easy to say impermanent, like that. But when, but at least say it, things, events are in the nature impermanent. When anything arises into your life, just remind to express, oh, this lies in the nature impermanent. And there's a kind of like a magic will happen in your experiences. It is no doubt. You see, check it out. You see, so it's a great healing. It's a great healer. The wisdom of impermanent is a great healer, a great liberator. You see, it's a great liberator. Any form of Buddha's teaching. If those of you who are already in Buddhist teaching, then any form of Buddha's teaching, there's emphasis of impermanent. There's emphasis of impermanent. You see, if the teaching is directly or indirectly not, there's no emphasis on the basis of impermanent, then that teaching doesn't sound like Buddhist teaching. You see, so impermanent, wisdom of impermanent is very, very essential. So more than that, if one wishes to develop wisdom realizing selflessness, which is so powerful, and wisdom realizing selflessness of self and phenomena, so-called as emptiness, voidness, without having the wisdom of interdependency, without having the wisdom of impermanent nature of the things and events, it is not possible for us to gain the wisdom of selflessness. So even this basic wisdom of impermanence served as the condition to develop higher wisdoms. So you see, but those of you who don't want to think about emptiness and this and that, then we always want some solutions in our day-to-day life to overcome problems. And the wisdom of impermanence is one of the very powerful antidote, very easy and powerful antidote to overcome day-to-day life problems. See, suddenly when you hear bad news, then you just regard that, oh, this bad news is a functioning phenomena. It lies in the nature of impermanent. That immediately there's a liberation, in your heart. You see, if someone punch you, immediately say this lies in the nature of impermanent. There's no space in your heart to retaliate. Immediately gain protection. You see, like. Then at the same time, one of the most powerful cause to cause us to suffer is ego-centered mind, the egoic self-centered mind. You see, so whenever we individually experience some kind of gain in wealth, gain in fame, name, prosperity, then we start to kind of like boost up, this kind of ego-centered mind, and that ego-centered mind, the greater the it boosts, it will become a more powerful atomic bomb to destroy your peace, your happiness. You see, so before inflating, before inflating the ego, then whenever there's gain and fame, happiness, whenever there's some good thing happen to you, again, regard that experience as in the nature of impermanent. So you enjoy the benefit of that gain, that fame, that acknowledgement, the good deeds or whatever. But it will, the mind, the wisdom of impermanent help us, to protect those wholesome experiences to be the cause of your suffering. Because if you don't have a mind of impermanent, there's danger of becoming the ego self-centered mind. And the ego self-centered mind is the cause of very painful suffering. You see, so the wisdom of impermanent can be used in both ways like that. You see, so then the morality, in order to have a wise heart, you see, the wise heart comes with a wise intention and wise view or right view or right intention. Then the right intention and the right view will lead us into the practice of moral conduct and how important to live in a moral conduct. moral principle. If we are able to live in a moral principle, then there's no room for our body, speech, and mind to cause harm to others. And also there's no room to cause harm to ourselves, you see. So the general moral conduct, like such as the 10 virtues of moral conduct, refraining, moral conduct, so there's 10 virtues, which is very easy, like no killing, no stealing, no sexual misconduct, etc. And then speech, like no harsh speech, etc. Then, from the mind, what you call the, what mind, the word from the mind, there's 3, covetousness, ill will, wrong view. So you see, so the covetousness is very much the mental negativity performed based on attachment, grasping, attachment. Then the other one, the ill will, is very much the mental action that performed based on hate, hatred, anger, hatred, like that. Then of course the wrong view of which is like wrong view of not having the understanding or conviction, not having conviction, the existence of karmic law, cause and effect. If you don't have faith in existence of karmic law, cause and effect, then you will not abstain yourself, like harming others. But if you have the conviction in karmic law, cause and effect, then at least if I cause harm to others, the karmic result will ripen in the suffering in myself. So just having that view able to protect, our action, to cause suffering to others. So like that. So this is general. Then the morality, we can categorize into 3 different type of moralities. The morality of abstaining, ourselves from any negativities. You see, so even we don't remember the 10 virtues in the moral conduct, but at least remember that in our day-to-day life, be mindful of not to indulge in negativities. By knowing indulging in negativities will cause suffering to self and will cause suffering to others. So therefore, I do not want suffering. I only want happiness. So if you only want happiness, you do not want suffering, then you must refrain from causing harm to the sentient being. That's starting from yourself, like a suicidal thought, like letting yourself down and being depressed. All this is harmful action. Harmful is not like need to carry a knife or gun. It's just letting you depressed, is harming yourself. Not putting effort, not putting right effort, not putting effort to uplift yourself, and let you just be down itself is causing harm. You see? So we have to be very mindful to make ourselves happy all the time, I used to say always, allow ourselves to be happy. We have a problem of not allowing ourselves to be happy. We always allow ourselves to suffer by ourselves, not by anybody else. You see? So we have to make sure we must give freedom ourselves to experience happiness. You see? And give freedom to let ourselves to accumulate causes of happiness. You see, so important. To the old and young, Sangha and lay, me and you, everybody, every day, must let yourself know that I'm allowing you today fully let you experience happiness and create causes of happiness. Okay? We have to do that, So we are very domineering, We are very domineering to ourselves, always kind of like restricting in ourselves not to be happy. This is our main problem. Always restricting ourselves, always kind of distract you from being happy and always guide you, direct you to be unhappy. You look in yourself. Check yourself. Your mind is very naughty. I want to be so happy, but then immediately there's some kind of delusion that comes, and you follow the delusion. You appreciate the delusion. You kind of totally be under the service of delusion. You see? So that's our problem. And in order to fix this problem, again, don't have to be Buddha. Don't have to be special being. Just remember this, that I must allow myself to be happy. As long as we remember this, as long as we remind ourselves now and then, especially when there's a negative emotion is intruding into our mind, and tell ourselves, talk to ourselves, you're not crazy. Sometimes people say, talk to yourself crazy, isn't it? Not necessary. So this one is a good one. Even crazy, never mind. Good crazy. Talk to ourselves. Don't allow yourself to be under the control of delusion. Make you suffer. No. I must let myself be happy. Think positive, think virtuous. Like that. So it helps. You see. So like that. Then so allowing oneself to accumulate causes of happiness is refraining causing harm to others. You see? So refraining causing harm to others, refraining causing harm to yourself, your body, your mind, being in suffering and creating cause of suffering itself is allowing yourself to be happy. Allowing yourself to accumulate abundance of saving causes for you to experience continuous happiness in future, like that, you see. So the second morality is, morality of accumulating virtues, morality of accumulating wealth, you see. So again, if you allow yourself to accumulate virtues, you're allowing yourself to be happy, you're allowing yourself to accumulate abundance of causes of happiness for future. How wonderful it is. And we have problem with that too. We again restrict ourselves to be wholesome or virtuous, You see, and there are a lot of excuses comes in our mind. No. This is no use, rather. Like sometimes some people even have like just a plain water and with a beer. Asked to choose. You have a lot of reasons to drink the beer, and you have a less reason to drink the water. So when our mind, to choose some virtuous things and negative actions, negative events, and sometimes we have a lot of reasons, the excitement about engaging in non-virtuous, and there are little, reasons to cultivate the virtues, you see. That's why at the beginning of this session, I said, you really put a lot of effort. I don't know whether I use this or not, but I use this word or not. But what I mean is that it's a big decision to come here and to do something else. Maybe something else can be maybe don't know. Maybe something not necessarily wholesome, or maybe just nothing. Sometimes we have tough to choose. You see, and we sometimes choose wrong things, and we kind of lose the opportunities. You see, like that, and in particularly being as under the samsaric influence, the karma and delusional influence of our life. If we are not mindful, then always we have more idea towards the negativities to be chosen. You see, so therefore we need to have a basic guideline of this, like wisdom, morality, and meditation. Otherwise, there's a limitation and encouragement for us to cultivate the causes of happiness and be in happiness. So like that. So you see. So then the third one is morality of benefiting sentient beings. So again, you see, morality of benefiting yourself. You are one of the sentient being. You see, it's always being mindful to make sure you are happy. I think yesterday was I quoted His Holiness Dalai Lama. He used to say again and again in many occasions, the purpose of our life is to be happy. And His Holiness also used to quote that if you wish to be happy, then practice compassion. So it's wonderful, you see. So when we talk about compassion, the object of compassion starts from you. You are object of compassion, you see. So if you want to benefit so many others and you allow yourself not to be happy, you allow yourself to suffer, then your compassion is not a complete compassion. It's not a proper compassion, you see. And if we don't have, minimal, if we don't have a compassion to our own virtuous state, our own state of happiness, the state of happiness of ourselves is a state of freedom from negative emotion, the haunting of negative emotion. And that itself is a virtue, it's protecting ourselves to be in the virtue, If we are able to do that with ourselves, then there's a great possibility that we can able to, provide the same compassion to the rest of the others, you see. So like that. So, benefiting sentient being is like loving oneself and rest of the others, and be compassionate to oneself and to rest of the others. Love means always providing causes of happiness to self, and always putting yourself in the state of happiness is love. And always being mindful of not letting oneself commit causes of suffering, and always not letting oneself to suffer is a compassion. And the similar attitude if you express to others, and that's a compassion to others. If you express this to your mother, you are expressing this to you, compassion and love and compassion to your mother. Then rest of the humanity, then rest of the sentient being. You see, there's one great Pandit, great scholar from India, called Lama Atisha, or advised that the object of our practices like altruism, compassion can be all the sentient being, but then the practical practice has to start from one, and that could be yourself. Then you develop, you expect like that. So you try to generate compassion from very far away, but then you forget yourself and the surrounding your family members. Then you won't able to develop compassion. So I'm already taking extra your time. I'm sorry. I'm not being mindful. So I will conclude with the last one, the meditation. You see, so the meditation. So even we have a moral conduct and right view, right intention. But then if we don't meditate, then we won't be kind of like a solid, well-trained practitioner. We may be occasional virtuous person, occasional preservation of morality, occasionally have good intention. Good day, good intention. Bad day, bad intention. Like that. So in order for us to have always right view, always good intention, always in morality, moral conduct, that has to be trained our mind through meditation. So meditation means habituation of your mind. Every day to day, remind yourself the importance of having wisdom, having right view, preservation of moral conduct, and always remind your heart to the advantage of moral conduct, advantage of right view, advantage of being happy, advantage of compassion, advantage of all the virtues, and influence your mind and habituate your mind, and eventually until that your mind become part of all those virtues, then your mind is well meditated, you see. So right now, our mind is very much meditated in the negative side. Therefore, so easy to arise anger, so easy to generate jealousy, so easy to be unhappy, so easy to depress, because we meditated for so long. So now we need to stop meditating that side, and we need to meditate the new object of meditation, which is meditate on happiness, meditate on love, meditate on compassion, meditate on kindness. like that. You see, so if you do meditate 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, eventually it becomes part of your mental habit. So without any without needed to think reason, it becomes spontaneous in your heart, and it becomes part of you. Then you are like always happy, always spiritual. Thank you. So you want some question answer? I'm okay.
Does anyone have any questions?
But then you can also leave. Those of you who needed to leave early, you can feel free to leave anytime.
Geshe. So at the time of death, with the someone's sadness, because we often hear the stories that people die when that person close to them is not there. So is that by having the distance of their presence, like it enables some space for that person then to pass?
You mean person die when?
When the person's dying, or dies, when somebody very close to them, who's maybe upset or is, sometimes it's just they walk out the door, they have some physical space, and that person dies.
Oh,
like that.
okay.
Many times. Many
times.
Many times that happens.
Yeah, possible.
So I was just thinking, is that because mentally then they have some space as well to enable them to continue through the death process?
Yeah, because the mind of letting go, the grasping towards the existing physical aggregates, that kind of tighten the external nerve system, then that tighten the flow of the wind, and that tighten the flow of the mental consciousness, and due to that, it kind of like a block. So when you sense or feel that the living one kind of like letting you go, then you kind of like you feel that you naturally feel that you can also like not really holding by something. So the moment your heart sense of relax and let go, then the wind channel opens, and that's where the consciousness transfer, or either the transition of life and death happens. So yeah, there are many. So that's why even advising the dying person to just comforting them to just put everything aside and relax and let go, and it helps for them to easily die, and those who by the force of the past definite karma, this time has happened, but their heart is still unable to let go, then death can be very quite a struggling process, you see. So and that can be influenced very much by the relatives and someone who is nearby, their attitude, their physical, and even their mental attitude, because when someone is dying, especially to the very last moment, their subconscious mind start to manifest. Their gross mind start to cease, and subconscious mind start to manifest. And subconscious mind is very much, they are very much like a certain level of clairvoyance, can able to see through the other's mind. So, so then, if your heart feeling very sad and unable to let go, the dying person's subconscious mind able to see that, and due to that, they hold back. So, so like that. Yeah. Did I answer something? Thank you. Yeah. Over there.
Hi, Geshe. If in order to be happy, you have to leave home to go far away, but
No! Sorry to interrupt you.
but your parents don't want you to leave, and they're sad. What do?
You want to go far away, but your parents don't want you to go?
Yes.
Oh,
If you want different things,
you want
how do you
different
look after
things.
yourself
Oh, okay.
and your parents?
Okay. I think if you stay back, you'll be more happy. Ultimately, since your parents asked you to do that. So I think you have to be a bit diplomatic. You know, you try to, if you really want to go, then at the same time you go with, pleasing your parents, at least ease their heart. If you go without their permission and if you go far away with upsetting them, I think your journey won't be that happy. Even though you wish to be happy, but your mind won't allow you to be happy because there's a deep interconnectivity is there. Is it? So if you really need to go, really want to go, then you be diplomatic a bit. You try to find a way to clarify with the words to them. Maybe you can say that I'll buy a big present for you. So that's okay. So you have to find find a way to let them happily agree. But just like against them and go away, I don't think can be happy. Yeah, it's a tough decision, isn't it? Yeah.
Hey Geshe, more on the theme of mothers, which I expect you get a lot of questions about. So thank you for the penetrating insight about how to work with problems with your mother and recognising it as projections. But what would be your advice for those of us who can recognise that the problems are coming from our side but don't feel necessarily mentally strong enough to respond appropriately in situ, and whether it's best to continue interacting with your parents if you're having problems in those ways, and you could be slightly destructive if you do, or whether it's wiser to sort of withdraw until you have built up your own strength?
I think maybe meditation will help.
Yeah.
To letting you know the truth, the reality, why these difficulties are there. So every day-to-day meditation will somehow nurture you, like that. And if you are, if someone is a Buddhist practitioner, then usually we do meditation of visualizing, Buddha on your crown. Then, meditating that there's some kind of inconvenience, the difficulty that you're facing, let's say with your parent. There's some kind of like a black spot or some concrete thing right somewhere around your heart. Then visualize lights and nectar in the flow from the Buddha, then enter from your crown. Then it just, the moment the light and nectar touches that concrete, and in fact that concrete is actually your ego, and that is the main problem. Then your misunderstanding and your lack of courage to go back or whatever. So whatever the difficulty is going in your mind, just regard that. And the moment the light and nectar touches that, then it just instantly eliminate, disappear. And then after that you try to think of cultivate love. Remind yourself of some of the good things that your parents have done to you, and try to magnify that. And not only this lifetime. They have done like that for many lifetimes. Many rebirths they have been my parent. And I've relied on so much, but then just because of I'm immature and this and that, that's why I have this heart. So it's like kind of expressing more compassion. So if you do that 1 or 2 or 3 times, some kind of because of the visualization of the Buddha, your heart tends to blessed. and at the same time you have the wisdom to overcome this problem. So it's combined like wisdom and method together, then magic can happen. So like that. Thank you. And you can do those who practice Guru Yoga. Then it's instead of Buddha, you can visualize the Guru, and it's regarded as very, very effective. And there's also another visualization is that you regard your mother, the Buddha, the deity, the Guru, oneness. And I think I have shared some stories about that before in the past. One of my auntie, when she was taking care of a bedridden her father, but then she gone through a lot of struggle, a lot of difficulties, and that's very much due to some self-centeredness, concern, and then my master advised to my auntie that your father you regard as a Buddha and your Guru, So her main excuse is that I don't get chance to practice. She's nun, so she said I don't get chance to practice. Especially she used to dedicate it whole throughout the day reciting sutras. So that's her practice. So when she's serving her father, she don't get that chance, and she feels it's great thing is missing in her life. But so my master told her that your father is your Buddha, your Guru. You meditate like that. Then you're not serving only your father, but you're serving the Buddha. You're serving the Guru. And if you serve your Guru, how would you serve? If you serve Buddha, how would you serve? How you would apply your attitude towards them. So you do that exactly to your father. So then with that, my master told her that you will achieve entire thing what you want, including liberation. And one of her concern is that there's some wrong view. I need to read a lot of sutras so that when I grow older, there will be a lot of people helping her, assisting her. So she's quite funny, thing like that. Even though reciting so many sutras. So my master says, you will be surprised when you get older if the service that you offer to your parent, your bedridden father, will create so much merit that when you are old, you have a problem of having too many people serving you. And she's experiencing that now. So like that. So this is where I think very, very, very wonderful practice, especially those who already practice Buddha Dharma. Then serve, your parent, seeing them as your Buddha, seeing them as your Guru. And sometimes to tame your heart, Guru can be quite harsh to you. To tame your heart, sometimes Buddha kind of manifests quite tough to you. So you see, so when you're serving your parents, sometimes they may, sometimes they show the aspect of misunderstanding. They may show the aspect of not appreciating what you offer service. But just do it because you know the purpose. So it will be very beneficial. Like that. Okay. You want to stop here? Yes. Okay. So thank you. Good night.